Hey guys, Chief7 here, got a video today. Right, so as I said in my last video, I think I would talk about the Maxx challenge. I think it's a big important topic that a lot of people are taking this risk where you go for the Maxx challenge. Basically, the Maxx challenge is you're playing against someone and they start to do effects that special summon, you drop Maxx, and they know that if they keep going, they will be able to OTK you. And that's why they keep going. So they're taking the Maxx challenge, hoping that you won't draw your outs, as in you won't draw Chagodia, Swift Scarecrow, Gauze. You won't draw that stuff. They might think that you don't actually run any OTK stoppers whatsoever, so they'll just keep going thinking that they're going to take the risk. As also they're willing to take the challenge if they can check your graveyard and you've already got stuff in there. They might just go and just, go for it. So they give you like 15 cards in hand by special summoning a lot, and then they get stopped by an OTK. And then they end their turn with like 1 card left in hand. You start your turn with like 18 cards, and then you proceed to beat them. And the Maxx challenge is interesting because realistically it's traced itself back all the way back to YCS Brighton, even before that, when Maxx started to become really popular with agents and Dino Rabbits. Take the Maxx challenge. You can basically lose instantly if you take the challenge and then you end up losing because they stop you. It's important to make sure that you know what you're playing against. I play Mermails now. Obviously I still play Gadgets, but in Mermails, I do take it upon myself to make sure that I do have enough space in my main deck to main 3 Maxxes and a Swift Scarecrow. Now, Swift Scarecrow does appear sometimes when I don't want it, so it doesn't have any synergy with the deck, but in this format, you can't really play Maxx unless you have a way to draw into an out, even on your opponent's turn. If you just run 3 Maxx and you don't have any OTK stoppers whatsoever, and you just run it for the draw power to make them stop, suddenly they take the challenge because they think that you don't play, or they know that you don't play it by game 3, and then you lose because you don't have any way. You just keep drawing, yet there's nothing to stop your opponent. Of course, if you're very field heavy, like you swarm with Blackwings, or you do a lot of swarming, or you have a lot of back row continuous cards, then you don't necessarily need to have an OTK stopper like Swift Scarecrow or anything like that, because you can basically just block their attacks using traps and using monsters. But you can sort of hold back and then just use a Swift Scarecrow after they've Maxx challenged, end up beating them just through exploding on the field in 1 turn, which is what Mermails would do. The way that you go about taking the Maxx challenge, it can change the game completely. It's one of those 50-50 chances. Sometimes, like for instance, some Dragon players have opted to take to make sure that they run at least 2 Swift Scarecrows now, because if you 6th Sense and you mill one of your Swift Scarecrows, you will most likely give your opponent information such as, oh, they've only got 1 left in the deck, or they most likely have milled their only OTK stopper. So they will, if you're playing a Dragon mirror, or you're playing any mirror that's heavy swarm OTK based, then your opponent might end up trying to take the Maxx challenge on you, and then you drop your 2nd Scarecrow. So it's a very good card, and running 2 of them can definitely help you, but at times 2 Swift Scarecrow is a little bit cloggy because you won't always get OTK'd, you won't always get the Maxx challenge, and you might not draw it when you need it. I thought I would put a couple of replays of me playing against Dragons and them taking the Maxx challenge, and ended up them losing because of it, because they don't think that Mermails run Swift Scarecrow, or they just assume that your deck doesn't have an out for an OTK. Yet it's a very sensible thing to do, especially when you're going into a big event, to make sure that you have an OTK stopper in your deck, as well as Maxx's or Reckless Greeds or any kind of fast draw engine. If you have OTK stoppers, then you do definitely give yourself longevity over the game rather than just getting OTK turn 2. So let's have a quick look at these replays.
Alright, so let's take a look at a couple of Dragon Ruler replays. Obviously I was playing Mermails and my hand was pretty decent, and let's just see how it plays out. So he goes first, which is obviously something big to note. Even though he went first, he still did the silly thing where he ended up taking the Maxx challenge. So I opened up pretty decent. I went in to get a Abyssland. I wasn't planning on doing anything else, so it was kind of a waste of a Maxx really. I wasn't gonna set that because I had a feeling his set face down would be something like an MST. So anyway, the Redragon comes down. I knew that he's gonna have to give me 2 cards. So he ends up going crazy, and by this point, I'm just gonna quickly pause. He'd already given me like 3 cards, from the Maxi, so I knew that he was taking the challenge. And obviously you can tell that I have a Swift Scarecrow in my hand. By this point I knew that I was pretty much going to win, because even if he stops now, I pretty much had every card I needed to basically win. But he decides to carry on going anyway, thinking that he'd be able to actually beat me. So he Phoenix Winds Blast, and then I quickly Swift Scarecrow, and he scoops right there. The game literally ends. He doesn't even disconnect. He actually loses and actually surrenders the game. So he knows that even if he does anything, I've got enough cards to beat him. Anyway, let's have a look at another replay where Dragons take the Maxi challenge. Alright, so let's take a look at this one where we played against Dragoonity Rulers, and it's a slightly, Dragoonity Rulers is slightly different, and they are more susceptible for Maxi. You generally can stop them at quite a few different points. So he stops after this one. He summons, gives me a couple of cards, and doesn't do anything after that. So he's got Sephiroth in the grave, which I completely disregard because it's not that important. There's nothing much else I can do. So I search set 2 go. So I don't want him to So basically, for him to get over this, he's going to have to go crazy. So he ends up Dragon Ravining again, does some searching. By this point, I knew that the only way I was going to win is if I drew into my Swift Scarecrow. So I draw into it on my first card, and he carries on going. This is where I'm talking about if you play a deck that doesn't generally run an OTK stopper, like Swift Scarecrow, this is a situation where, for instance, this guy #YOLO, he's obviously thinking that he's playing against someone who doesn't have an OTK stopper, and he's literally playing into exactly what I want to do. He obviously wants to finish his turn with Crimson Blader, but I do have a Book of Moon ready for it. This is one example where having a Book of Moon is very helpful. You can have compulsory, and Swift Scarecrow isn't always going to help you, because even if I Swift Scarecrow after he's Crimson Bladed me, so Crimson Blade is it, then attacks, I still would have like 20 cards in my hand which I can't use. So it's very important, even though you have an OTK stopper, not to rely on it completely. It's good to have that occasional extra back row card, because I have a Abyss Sphere, but I also have a book. So I book his Blader because I know that it's important to stop that. And he Solemn Warnings it, which basically means that I have to do less and less damage to beat him. So by this point, I've obviously drawn into Dark Hole, and I've got all the cards I need. I've got literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got about 15 cards in hand. So he's given me so many cards. So Abyss Tears comes down, I search everything I need. I go Abyss Megalo, Infantry Pop, just in case I can't actually finish him off, in case that face down is return. I think I'm going to be able to stop him. So Breakthrough Skills, which I know by this point I've already won, because he can attack with Jakasek. And that's pretty much it. And that is it. So I won straight up like that. He was actually really ahead of me, but because he took the Maxi challenge and didn't actually play it through properly, he messed up. So there you go. So what I'm trying to get out of this video, which I'm trying to always have a little conclusion to my videos, is the Maxi challenge is very important, and make sure that when you do drop Maxi and they carry on, make sure that you take note of the fact that the Maxi challenge is happening to you, and you think, can I actually survive the Maxi challenge? Are they actually going to keep playing through my stuff and actually going to lose, regardless of how many cards they give me? So you got to tally up every single time you've lost to the Maxi challenge, every time you've given your opponent the challenge, and note it down and realize if playing an OTK stopper would actually benefit you more than take out something that's important in your deck and then put in an OTK stopper and see if you actually win more often. That's all I can suggest. So comment down below what you think of the Maxi challenge, and if it's actually relevant to you when you play, because some people don't really care about Maxi whatsoever, but it is a very important part of the game. I know that a lot of players are opting to take some of them out and putting them in the side, but you will eventually come up to the Maxi challenge if you play in a YCS. I do know that YCS Sydney is happening very soon, so it'll be very interesting to see an Australian YCS and seeing if they I guess something to take home with you would be to actually watch their feature matches and actually see if any of them take the Maxi challenge. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you guys in a few days, and until next time, the Thetcglover is out.